Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast, supported by Nicole, here with Benji as always, for Stage 5 of the Vuelta a España, the stage literally no one was asking for, another pure sprint stage. Whoever designed this first week, for a climber's race, having this many pure sprint stages, it's been rough, particularly stage 2 on the Sunday. I don't know how that went down. Anyway, 185 Ks, pancake flat. Intermediate sprint with 63 Ks to go. No one was watching then, and everyone just kept talking about crosswinds, which is cope, in my opinion. Yes, they turn at 30 Ks to go. They're on a highway the whole time today. It looked like a UAE stage, honestly, and there was supposed to be strong enough wind there, I guess, but typical break, Benji. It's just that we've had every other sprint stage.
Yeah, we've had Asparen in the breakaway once again. Spoke about him a few days ago. He's that U23 time trial guy. Then we have Polayo Sanchez, something like that. I'm talking this from my mind this time around. And Lascano of Caja Rural also in the breakaway. Of that breakaway, we had Lascano hold on the longest. And, well, the gap from the breakaway to the peloton was actually quite noticeable. You had 2 minutes with 30K to go. Usually they try and keep it at 1 minute, but this was all because of the nervousness going into those last 30 kilometers, like you mentioned. But hey, before that, at 50K to go, intermediate sprint, Philipsen taking more points than Demar there. So a few people commented and asked how the point system works for the intermediate sprints. It's 20 to 10 points scaled down from first to fifth in this race. So it's kind of like the Tour de France, but not as many people getting points, basically. And Philipsen and Demar took the lowest two positions. So I think 13 and 10 or 11 and 10 points, something along the lines of that. But that wouldn't give too much change in the points classification, because we know that the winner of today will likely hop over the other unless Jakobsen wins today and keeps the green. But hey, we were all waiting for the sprint. And we can talk about the echelons as well. You know, the one echelon that Cherny pulled.
Is it an echelon if it's just the same peloton and no one gets gapped?
It's an attempt to an echelon.
Okay, he attempted to create an echelon. There were no echelons created. It looked to me like he was just still doing his pace, but just moved to the middle of the road and everyone fanned out behind him. That's the thing. Even if the wind conditions are correct, if the strong teams who do have rouleurs just want to punch sprint, they're just going to really stay in front. I mean, it's not like Ineos didn't bring Rowe or Kwiatkowski. They've just got poor Dylan Van Baarle doing a lot of that work at the moment. And Quickstep and Alpecin weren't interested, I don't think. And it was up to really Movistar. They got some decent rouleurs, but they weren't fast either. They saved their energy. Everyone stopped eventually, about 12 Ks to go. Everyone decided, all right, it's going to be a bunch of sprint, chill out. Everyone's freewheeling. Jumbo move up the right-hand side. They go, move up the right-hand side, move to the left. It's going to be all calm, run to the finish. Peloton compresses, huge crash. Literally half the peloton, looks like, goes down. I couldn't see what exactly happened, but I think it was Mads Vert Schmidt, Danish national champ, might have clipped his front wheel on Caja Rural guy's back wheel, and then it was just everyone went down. Is that correct?
Well, what I noticed is that you have these riders that are trying to move up on the right side of the road with their team when the peloton is leaning to the left side of the road. So Bora came up from the right side of the road and decided to merge into the train at the front. And one of those riders merging in caused the Caja rider to have to brake a tiny bit. And that tiny brake made the inattentive Mats Wout Schmidt right into the back wheel of that rider. Yeah, I think you can't really blame the guy, because these crashes happen every single bloody day in cycling. So, but it's just noticeable how such a crash happens so swiftly and how it can take down half a peloton like that. And the victims were a lot. And one GC rider that is very notable, Romain Bardet, losing a significant amount of time today. I think 4+ minutes, although I don't know it by heart, but he was coming in together with Nieve and a Bora rider that were the biggest victims. But also, once again, the red jersey.
Yeah, Rein Tarman went down 2 days in red, 2 days he's crashed, neither of which were his fault at all. He didn't look banged up. It just looked like he had a mechanical, so he had to wait to get his bike, and that's what held him up. Whereas Bardet physically looks very bad, so we'll have to wait. We haven't got the news yet. He's obviously being checked now. whether he abandons or not or continues. But yeah, Bardet very banged up. Taramay not. He was pulling strongly. Intermarché took a long time to drop any teammates back, it seemed. Like they only dropped them back with like 6K, 7Ks to go.
Yeah, but I've also got the feeling that he's not a GC rider, so I don't know. I don't think they have.
Come on.
It's Taramay in red, man. Come on, dude.
Taramay in red tomorrow is bigger than Ricardo Menali coming 8th again in a sprint.
That's true, but
what do you mean it's not a big deal?
I don't think Intermarché is trained for this.
Maybe not. Well,
they're not used to be in this position.
Arctic Race in Norway is anything to go by. But yeah, I mean, it probably wouldn't have mattered anyway, to be honest. It's just he was riding on his own for quite a while. Like it took a long time for them to drop back to him, which I thought was surprising. Like Dane Grand Tour's jersey, leader's jersey is a fair bit. But to be honest, it was so close to finish. It's like 10Ks to go. They really weren't racing that hard. Everyone did pretty much put the brakes on because we saw Movistar had almost their whole team caught up. With Bala, I saw for certain. They got back very, very, very quickly. So obviously the pace wasn't on at the front, and then eventually they have to at some point start pacing at like 5-6Ks to go.
Yeah, but Bahrain was the first team to do it for me, and I was like, why is Bahrain the first one to do it? I didn't get that. There's no reason for them to do it.
Because Landa gets nervous and wants to stay at the front is the answer.
Probably.
That is the reason. But then it was eventually, you see this every sprint stage. Everyone can pace as much as they want. At the end of the day, it's going to be Dylan van Baarle bringing Egan Bernal up 1 and 2 wheels over the 3 kilometre to go marker. He's done it so well. They did it well at UAE Tour as well, I think, with Ghana. So yeah, Bernal always seems to be in front, except I guess Burgos where he crashed. But yeah, just a shame to see Taramay basically losing the jersey, whatever the outcome of this sprint. And Alpecin, better lead out today. I thought they had their numbers and their riders all together. It was De Koenig who, how would you rate the De Koenig lead out so far this tour, Benji? It ain't no Seneschal, Mirko, Lampard sort of quality lead outs or what we saw at the tour. I think it's been a bit average for Jakobsen, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been a bit chaotic, to say the least, and it feels like Jakobsen has to do a lot alone. The stage when he had yesterday, he had to move up in the corner himself. It wasn't a rider that brought him to the front of the race. He had a rider bringing him to a position that he needed to be in to move up in the inside corner. But yeah, like compared to Mirko, who would actually control basically the outcome of the entire race, because a Mirko would be near the front. And I feel like they spent Czerny a lot in those echelons. And they kept on riding in, the echelon attempt, sorry. I keep calling it echelons, but was a single file peloton. And we had a lot of energy spent there. Perhaps he could have been more useful in the last few kilometers. Could have been an extra rider to keep De Koenig at the front. They tried to come up on one side of the peloton, but I feel like Alpecin just cut them off right on time for Alpecin to take a corner first, and that's how Philipsen was basically like in second position, ideally in the last kilometer, and I'll let you lead the rest in.
Yeah, it's the same thing we've seen happening in previous stages. Philipsen, yes, he is on the front a little bit early. He is, just like Demar was the other day. But the problem for Fabio Jakobsen is he has in between him and Philipsen and Van Leeuwenhoek didn't bring him anywhere, to be honest. Because I'm looking at the shot at 800 meters front on. Van Leeuwenhoek is not bringing him up. He's got Milano, Matthews, Dainese all between him and Philipsen. And the problem is when Philipsen jumps, it's weird. The FDJ lead out, Demar kind of got squeezed or everyone moved over onto Guarnieri's wheel and then Demar was in no man's land again. Philipsen switched on and switched off. Jakobsen's got those guys on Philipsen's wheel. When Philipsen jumps admittedly early, he swings to the left. He's got Dainese on his wheel. They let the wheel go just a little bit. They're never getting over him. So for Jakobsen to actually contest this, he's got to come around them and then move up, 5-6 bike lengths in the wind. Not able to. Philipsen holds on with a really, really long sprint. Impressive from him. And yeah, Jakobsen comes second. I did say it was good to see these guys are going back and forth, each winning stages. Jakobsen yesterday, I think the Alpecin lead out was better today. I think it's the best lead out in this race. FDJ, yeah, what did you see from Demar, Benji? Because he's come 10th. Like it's not just, he's close. Like at least yesterday he was close. What happened again today?
I feel like whenever we see Demar this year, not last year, but this year, with a terrain, and his terrain isn't able to bring him to a perfect position, he doesn't end near the front of a race. And perhaps this is because if the victory is not there, he's just not sprinting for it. If he's in eighth position, what's the point to spend energy on a final sprint that you know you can't win? If you're a sprinter like Demar, who has won stages in Grand Tours a lot. So I think that's part of it. I think if he keeps on going, he could end seventh or eighth or something, but why would he care? And next to that, it feels like his terrain is falling apart in this version today. Now, I feel like there was another rider that used Demar's terrain better than Demar's terrain did himself, and that was Dainese. He followed the third rider ahead of Demar into a perfect position. He followed him when you mentioned that one of the Groupama riders went out the front for a bit, and the other two couldn't really follow with Demar because he was a bit behind. Well, Dainese jumped on that front rider and used that rider to get to the wheel of Philipsen on the right side. And that's how Dainese is able to get into the perfect position before this sprint as well, finishing third on this one. So once again, a good sprint by him.
Yeah, so obviously Alpecin got it right this time. It was interesting to see how, I don't know, just how Philipsen is so calm at switching on and off wheels at the moment, and how everyone's, I guess, not got the snap before the final sprint to actually jump onto a wheel. And yeah, the way he's surfing wheels at the moment, he's got a lot of confidence, Philipsen, and I guess the difference in the Tour de France is there's not that opportunity. It was like quick step on front. You're sitting on Cav, can't come over the top of him. Before I read out the top 10, another word on our show partner, Le Col, who produce performance cycling apparel. They've just announced an extension to their deal with Drops Le Col, the women's cycling team, which is hoping to move up to World Tour level soon, extending that partnership until the end of 2023. If you want to use our discount code LRVuelta20, that's LRVuelta20, all caps, you can get 20% off all Le Col items, even if they're already discounted at www.lecol.cc. But otherwise, Benji, here's the top 10. Philipsen, Jakobsen, Dainese, Milano, Allegert, Aberasturi, Meus Minali, Van Rensburg, Demano, Michael Matthews. He's in the group. It came 25th. Not sure what happened. Maybe he got caught behind in the crash. Rein Taramay loses the jersey, unfortunately, and Kenny Elizondo takes it by default because he was in the break the other day. Who else was in the break with them? Dombrowski. Was he caught up in the crash as well? Like how? Yeah, Dombrowski was caught up in the crash. So Kenny Elizondo takes the Vuelta leaders jersey because he was in the break the other day. He's got a 5-second gap on Roglic. That is going to be very difficult to keep after tomorrow's stage, which is the first. It's basically the Punchers pure sprint stage. It's 160 k's downhill and then pancake flat on the coast, and then they do a 2k 8.7% climb, the Alto de la Montaña de Cullera. It is steep in about 500 meters in. It's 12% for 500 meters, 6%, 7% at the start, 12% for 500 meters, 9% for 500 meters, and 7%. It is screaming Roglic to me. And Pidcock I had for the stage in the preview. I'm going away from Pidcock. I've lost faith, Benji, given he said he's been not on the bike too much. I'm going with Roglic and Bala, top 3.
I think Roglic is a good option, certainly. I think that Pidcock is likely still going to try. I feel like it. Or don't you think that he's going to try? What's your take on that? Is he not going to try, or is he not going to do well?
He might try, but I don't think his legs will, like even if he's on top form, you still probably take Roglic as the favourite. So if that little 2%, 3% that he might be off, I got to go with Roglic.
When it comes to other riders that I see doing decent here, I'm curious whether Simmons will top 5 on this one. I don't know how good Simmons is on this finish. I want to know how good Simmons is on this finish. Come on.
No shot.
I'm curious what Grosschartner does on a finish like this. I find it difficult to believe that he can beat Roglic on a finish like this, certainly, but also looking for a top 5 position.
Ciccone?
He's done decent on a finish like this back in Tour du Var, just after Mollema, but Mollema is not exactly the best puncher in the world. So, actually, aren't they teammates? What am I saying? I'm probably saying the wrong race. But anyway, I'll just continue talking. Otherwise, I could do well. I don't know.
Schachmann, he's been pretty banged up, Schachmann. He's like crashed a couple of times. This stage shows, like we said it numerous times, Israel Startup Nation shouldn't have sent one of Martin or Woods to the Tour de France, and they would have been a big chance for this stage. Like Martin beat Roglic in an uphill sprint last year. I'm very, very surprised that neither of those two were sent.
If you know that your name is Roglic and you see this finish, you're no way in hell going to put your team at the front. Which bloody team is going to pace knowing that this finish fits Roglic?
I don't know. That's the big question. Is
why are we for Ramburu? I bet you.
Why are we talking about the GC favourites when, again, it's been, as you mentioned, Jumbo-Visma don't want the red jersey because, at stage 7, very difficult to control. It's 152 k's of medium mountain all day with a climb of 9k 6% in the first 10 k's, which has like steep sections at the beginning. Do they, with Roglic only on 5 seconds? Yeah, they're like, well, if we go there, Roglic is going to have to sprint and he's going to beat Kenny. So, I don't know. It's a really good point, Benji. So maybe we'll see a break. I don't know. That'd be a pretty. It big
looks
letdown.
Just a weird parkour to have a breakaway win, but the team dynamics feel like I don't know if anybody's going to be interested to pace on a stage like this, knowing the kind of competition they have, unless their name is Movistar and they still believe in Valverde on a finish like this.
Movistar should pace. They should, because like Valverde, no, it's like when Alpecin paced in the Tour de France on a sprint stage or sent a rider up to pace. Like, yeah, you're not the favourite, but if you don't pace, you can't win. You only have so many stages that suit your riders. Valverde's maybe
someone in the breakaway.
Yeah, well, maybe. I doubt it. But Valverde's got 10-15% chance of winning. Still decent. Like, it's still you miss all the shots you don't take. Otherwise, yeah, Ciccone.
Rob Stannard?
No, too
hard.
Too hard. I liked Pidcock. Not advice. Knox. Didn't Knox do well at Flesh, Benji?
No, Knox will not do this.
Baggioli?
He doesn't have that punch.
What about Andrea Baggioli? He's a bit of a dark horse. He didn't climb the other day.
The problem with Baggioli is that he's performed well across his career so far, but it's always been in the type of like flats or false flat uphill sprints and not necessarily the punchy climbs after a rougher parkour. Like, for example, Tour de l'Ain last year, I think, wasn't there a stage where he was relatively good at? I vaguely remember something like that. Yeah, he won the first stage. That's the one I mean.
Yeah.
The one just ahead of Roglic on a finish that is not like this, but there was a hill and then a flat section to the line. And then this year, once again, Tour de l'Ain, I think the last stage, I recall him getting second in that, but that was more of an offensive stage where they decided to attack each other. The one Storer won. So, I don't know. I'd have to see it to believe it, to have Baggioli win this one, but I'd be curious to see it. I'd love to see kind of a Van Zevenand move, but there's no way in hell that he's doing this.
Yeah,
I'd love it, but
Bahrain is interesting.
Yeah,
like Bahrain, Tratnik, is it too hard? Haig is good at sort of Liège Flesh sometimes. So I don't know.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, they're going for Landa. I don't know. Probably will be a break win and our hearts will be broken once again. But that's enough on this stage in the preview of tomorrow. We'll, thoughts and tears for Rain Tarame, denied another day in the red jersey. And we'll see you with the recap of the stage tomorrow. Thanks for the call for scoring the show. Ciao.